All right. I had a lot of questions in section 5.1, which was solving systems of equations by graphing. I had a lot of questions about whether there isn't a different way to solve a system of linear equations. And so here we go. Yes, there is, and 5.2 is solving systems of linear equations by substitution. All right, let's look at a model first here. If I have this fuzzball right here, and that fuzzball weighs 5 units, and then I have fuzzball plus Mr. Furry here, and together they weigh 7 units, then I can figure out how much Mr. Furry weighs by replacing Mr. Fuzzball with what I know about him. If I know that Mr. Fuzzball weighs 5, then I can replace Mr. Fuzzball with a 5, right? And then I can say Furry plus 5 is 2 plus 5, so now we can solve this, remove 5 from each side, and I know that Furry must equal 2 units. Now, if I have an example like this, where I know that Fuzzball equals Furry plus 2, I don't know an exact value for Mr. Fuzzball, but I still know something about him that I can replace this with. So now I can replace Mr. Fuzzball, with this right here. Okay, this expression is going to replace this, and now I can solve. Right? Now I only have Mr. Furry here, and so I'm going to remove these two. 2 from one side, 2 from the other side. And now I have 2. I can divide this into 2 stacks, and we have 6 here. So I divide by 2, and each of them weighs 3. Okay, so if I know something, I can replace that something with what I know about it. Right? I knew that this guy equals this one plus 2, so I could replace him. All right? So this is what that looks like in algebra. Variables. Okay, if we have y is equal to negative 2x minus 9, make sure you're writing this example down, and then I have 6x, that's an x, 6x minus 5y, minus, make that a 5 right there, 5y is equal to negative 19. Of course, we got to start off with a difficult example like this. All right, now I know that y is also negative 2x minus 9. I can't solve an equation with 2 variables, but I can replace y with what I know about it. So I'll plug that right in there. Then I'll have 6x minus 5, and now we're going to replace y with what we know about y. Negative 2x minus 9, and that is equal to negative 19. Okay, so now distributive property, I get 6x, negative times a negative is positive 10x, negative times a negative is positive 45. This is a negative 19. 45 is equal to negative 19. Now we're going to combine these 16x, and we're going to subtract the 45 from each side. Subtract 45 from each side. So 16x is equal to negative 64. Divide each side by 16. And x is equal to negative 4. Now once we know x, we can plug that back in up here. Y is equal to negative 2 times negative 4 minus 9. And then y is equal to positive 8 minus 9. And y is equal to negative 1. So the solution to this system of equations is negative 4 and negative 1. And you can plug that into the other to check it, see whether it is correct. So 6 times negative 4 minus 5 times negative 1. Does that equal negative 19? This is our check right here. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Plus 5. Does that equal negative 19? Negative 24 plus 5 is negative 19, and that is indeed equal to negative 19. Check. Correct. All right. You might run into a problem where they haven't told you y equals this or x equals this. Then you're going to have to solve for one of them. My pro tip here is solve for the one that has a coefficient of positive 1. So in this case, both of these do. So I'm going to solve this one up here for y, because y has a coefficient of positive 1. So I'm going to move x to the other side across the sign changer. So that gives me y is equal to positive x plus 3. Okay, I did that by adding x to each side, if you didn't follow that much. And then I'm going to plug in x plus 3 in for y right here. 3x plus parentheses x plus 3 is equal to negative 1. So there's nothing I'm multiplying by, just a positive 1. So I can combine these. That gets me 4x plus 3 is equal to negative 1. Subtract 3 from each side. 4x is equal to negative 4. Divide by 4. X is equal to negative 1. Now we're going to plug that back in up here. And y is equal to negative 1 plus 3. So y is equal to 2. My solution is negative 1. Oh, goodness. Negative 1 and 2. And I can check that by plugging that in over here. 3 times negative 1 plus 2. Does that equal negative 1? 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. Plus 2 is negative 1. And that equals negative 1. Check. Very nice. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is solving systems of equation by substitution. So we take what we know and we replace one of the variables with what we know about that variable. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Good times in the matherhood.